How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Davey on everything, and welcome back to the solo show. Today I'm going to be telling you guys a story of some slightly sketchy shit I did when I was just a teenager. Should be an interesting story for you guys to hear. So let's get right into this. Alrighty, guys. So the year is 2009, 2010. I'm in high school. Websites like Amazon and Wish and Alibaba they weren't in the mainstream. Like Amazon was obviously, on a huge come up. Alibaba, I don't think existed. Wish.com, I don't think existed. There was a site called DHgate, and I think they're probably still open. But there was very little, like, people just didn't really know about these things, right? People didn't know that you could buy all this, cheap and fake shit from China, direct from China. So I'm going to start it from the beginning here. I was like 17 years old. I had a friend, and my friend, he was like a cool dude. He was Ethiopian, I believe. And he was my boy, you know what I mean? We hung out, we played soccer together, and he was just a good guy, and we got along really well. So basically kind of what happened was he, one day came to me and said, "Hey man, like, by the way, I got this plug for, Nike products, Adidas products, sunglasses, Ray-Bans, all this stuff, right?" He's like, and it's cheap. It's all really cheap. He's like, but I don't want to tell anybody about it because, maybe, because I'm getting all this stuff and it's this cool shit, and people think that I'm buying all this stuff and that it's, authentic and I'm getting from the store. So, like, I'm going to show you the page, but don't tell anybody about it. And I'm like, okay, sure, man, no problem. And keep in mind, like, I didn't know that any of this stuff was even fake or anything, right? I just thought this is direct from the factory, and, they're just bypassing the stores. I'm just a kid. Oh, my God, sorry, guys, I got hair. I'm just a kid, so I have no idea, but I understood, and I'm like, all right, he wants to keep it on the low, so we're the only ones that are pulling up with, new SB Dunks or new, new Jordans and whatever, So he shows me the site. I order some shit. I find some shit I want to order, which was some snapbacks and like a Louis Vuitton belt and whatever. I bought some, actually in the first order, I bought some like crazy red Nike SBs, high tops. And they were cool. And I was like, man, this is crazy. Because they were like, honestly, they were probably like $35 or something like that. Like, they were super cheap. And, I had a job, but I wasn't making like really any money at all. And I only ever owned one pair of Nikes like my whole life. So it was cool that I was able to get these shoes, and I was getting them for like, I got 2 pairs for less than like $80. So this is kind of how it worked. The site was from a man in China, and I never met the man. I actually happened to speak with him, down the line on the phone at some point. But basically what it is, you put the order through, and then he would confirm your order, and then you would go to Western Union. And if you don't know what Western Union is basically you can send money, right? You can send money to people all over the world. So you would go to Money Mart or Cash Money or, one of these payday loan places, and you could Western Union money. So that's what I did. I would order the stuff, and then I would send it via Western Union to him. And then you would get the stuff in a couple weeks. It was slow back then. It was real slow. It would take like 2-3 weeks for you to get your stuff. So for my first order, I bought a couple pairs of shoes and, some other probably random shit. And it all came, and it was all good. And it looked sick. And I'm like, wow, Nike shoebox. It had the paper. It had the tags. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I'm getting stuff directly from the factory. This is wild. So I did a couple more orders. I bought this tacky ass Gucci like jacket sweater thing. And like when they show a couple things that did show up, you could tell like, okay, this is a little fishy because it's not exactly as advertised. And I've seen this jacket on like other people, like celebrities and stuff, and I'm like, this is not exactly how it's supposed to look. But anyways, I didn't really question it too much because I had some cool shit. And I remember wearing I didn't live in like a upper class area really by any means, and my school had a lot of like upper middle kids, but nobody was wearing like designer shit by any means. And it really, I don't think even was really all that popular either. So I was rocking this fucking blue Gucci jacket to work to school, and I don't know. In retrospect, I probably looked fucking stupid because I would have this Gucci jacket. I had these Nike high tops, and eventually I got this fake ass looking Louis Vuitton belt, and it honestly just funny looking back at that and thinking like, what the hell was I thinking? But to me, it just seemed like, okay, whatever, just buying some shit to wear, buying some swag, as we called it at the time. So yeah, I buy this stuff, da-da-da, all good. Fast forward a bit, I didn't tell anybody about the site, but a very good friend of mine, if you've watched the story about me selling windows and doors door to door out in the streets, this is the same friend that's in this story. So, I put him onto the site. Right? Because it's my boy. It's my best friend. I put him onto the site. And he's like, holy shit, this is crazy. And we kind of get the idea that, people... Okay, this is actually what happened. I'm just remembering this now. So what ends up happening is the snapback movement. So the flat brim with the snapback and the Mitchell and Ness and the, New Era, all these hats become very popular. Very popular because of guys like Tyga and New Boys and... hip hop really starts jumping into these like snapback trend, right? And where we lived in Canada, you couldn't really find them. Like they weren't really that accessible. So I remember seeing them on this website and thinking, holy shit, I can buy these snapbacks in bulk for peanuts and then I can sell them to my classmates. I'm like, okay, this is wild. I can easily do this. So I bought like a buttload of snapbacks, and we ended up kind of almost taking orders from people. Like mostly my friends in my circle, they're taking, okay, which ones you guys want? I can't show you the site. I can show you photos. You guys can pick. I was all very secretive about it because I didn't want my plug to be exposed and people could go around me and buy them themselves. So I did that and I started making a bit of money. I'm like, wow, this is actually working. So me and my buddy were making cash. And we were just teenagers, keep this in mind. Like we're just minors and we're just trying to make a few bucks, because college is in our future and blah, blah, blah. So, we order these hats. We sell them out, no problem. So what we ended up doing one big order. We start posting these hats online. And again, like the internet, much less regulated and watched. And, people were just not onto these things and they didn't understand. And they just thought, okay, he's got a retail plug or whatever. We start doing really well and we start selling a bunch. Snapbacks is our main business, right? But we could also get hockey jerseys and headphones and Ray-Bans. And so we start kind of expanding, but snapbacks was like our main thing. And we meet this other kid that goes to another high school and all he wants is snapbacks. So we would give him a bunch of snapbacks and he would sell them to his classmates. And then what would happen is like he would just take a bunch of the snapbacks for himself. So it was a good deal for us. We weren't really out too much money out of our pocket. So, boom, 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 selling. And, fast forward, we're selling, I'm getting, my coworkers hockey jerseys, and because the hockey jerseys look legit too, and they were cheap. So I'm selling hockey jerseys to my coworkers, and I'm selling Ray-Bans to people on the internet, and I'm meeting all these random sketchy people too, right? And because people would respond to the ad. My friend was mainly the guy doing the sales, and I was more like the behind the scenes guy. So my buddy was really the one pushing the stuff. I didn't really have a whole lot to do with selling, but we would have to meet people out in public, right? Or we would go to people's houses sometimes. And we put ourselves into some sketchy ass situations with some sketchy people that, they easily could have robbed us. I'm 120 pounds soaking wet, this kid. And my buddy wasn't a big dude either, so we easily could have been robbed, no problem. And like I said, we had all this stuff, and it wouldn't have been any big deal for these guys to just say, "Fuck you, we're taking this." And like, what the fuck am I gonna do about it, right? I'm just gonna accept the L and move on. Luckily, it never happened, and we managed to push a lot of products, right? I think. Eventually, what ends up happening is like, okay, we're doing pretty good. I had a nice chunk of change saved up so I could pay for my schooling, which is a whole nother story and, a whole nother waste of money, guys, for me to go to school. But that's a whole other story. Eventually I find a couple other sites, and I start, we start purchasing from other sites, and yeah, it became really easy, right? And people started to know they could come to us if they wanted like sunglasses or hats or whatever. And looking back, like, I don't know, my parents never really questioned it. I think they knew it wasn't like the most credible situation that I was in. But I did that for a little while, and I made some money, and I paid for school. And kind of fast forward a little bit, other people started to get into it. It kind of got to the point where there was just less money to be made, and kind of like people really catching on to the idea that maybe this wasn't the most legitimate products that we were selling. And that business ends up just kind of becoming washed. Like, it wasn't worth it anymore. And then we had a friend that was selling some fake Beats by Dr. Dre, and he actually ended up getting raided by the police, and he had to go on house arrest and ankle monitor. So at that point, I got really nervous, and we just kind of liquidated everything we had, because it was an end of an era. And it wasn't shortly after that people kind of got onto it themselves. And now if you look at it, there's Panda Buy and DHgate and Alibaba and Wish.com and like endless sites that sell a bunch of crappy fake Chinese stuff, right? So, and then of course you go to any flea market and people are selling it, or you go to any like swap meet and people are selling fake stuff, and go down to Chinatown, anywhere. And so yeah, I got to the point where it's like, this is washed, it's sketchy. I kind of started to learn that what I was doing wasn't the most legit thing. A lot of it was just me. I just, I'm dumb and I'm a kid, and I'm like thinking, well, I'm not selling heroin, but it wasn't exactly the most legal business. So we get to the point where we just kind of pull out of the game, and we took a couple losses there, and not huge losses, but some people just ended up not paying us for stuff that they bought from us. I made the mistake of lending, giving people stuff up front with the promise of pay. And I just remember one particular, when you're 17, 18 years old, $180 is actually a lot of money for you, especially back in 2009. Like, it's a lot of money. So I remember I sold 2 hockey jerseys to my supervisor, who was a 40-some-year-old Christian woman. And I ended up quitting that job. And on my last day, I kind of told her, like, hey, by the way, you still owe me $180 for those 2 hockey jerseys. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, come back tomorrow afternoon, and I'll have my husband bring you over money. I'm like, okay, cool. And I quit. So I already quit. But I'm like, all right, come back for my money. I come back. Oh, no, she's not here. She already left. And so I contacted her. Yeah, I'll pay you. Weeks and weeks and weeks, I would stop in, try to get my money. She's never there. Needless to say, I never got my money from this lady. And you know what? I know it's, probably the nature of the business, but just a kind of a shitty person to rip off a 17-year-old. But it's the nature of the business. And, I couldn't be too upset about it, right? But, she was a Christian, and she just basically robbed a kid. So, I mean, good on her for that. But yeah, guys, so, it was a weird time in my life looking back. It was so long ago now. Looking back, it's even bizarre that I even participated in that. But it was a different era, and, I don't think you would really ever make any kind of money doing that now, because A, people are onto it. B, people can just do it themselves online, and shipping is a lot quicker than it used to be. And a lot of people just don't even want that crap, right? So, and really what was unique about it was the snapback era was such a big trend that really is what drove the business for us, was that we were able to push so many of these hats, and people were collecting them like Pokemon cards. It was crazy. So I don't know if it was a business you could really pull off now, and I'm sure they crack down on it a lot more, and I wouldn't recommend anybody getting into it, especially nowadays. Like, you gotta do legit shit now, guys. But, definitely a cool experience that I went through. And, it was like 15 years ago now. It seems like a lifetime ago. I was just a child, basically. And, I did what I did, and I had some fun, and I had I had a cool experience, and I made a few bucks to pay for my college. That ended up being a waste of money as well. So all the money really just gone, into the hands of the institutions. But alrighty, guys, that is the end of this story. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Just a little insight into my young life and some bullshit that I was doing. Guys, don't. From this story, I'm gonna tell you, don't get into that shit. It's not worth it. Just get a job and just work hard and start legitimate businesses and, do your best, right? But don't get into that shit, you know what I mean? It's not worth it. There's no money into it. And, but yeah, guys, if I could ask you to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, that would be fantastic. Go check out my TikTok, my Instagram, and all my socials. And until next time, guys, I'm Davey on everything. Thank you so much for coming by and watching, and we'll see you next time.
Big cheese, no design on my jacket. Work hard, now I'm changing my bracket. Talk tough, we ain't hear that racket. Guys came in, you know how to stack it. Don't take it wrong, but I'ma need my ends though. I got tigers on my chest like Kenzo. Rail came, yeah, he putting that Benz though. Carol's here, man, you know he stay 10 toes. Big dog, man, you know I ain't worried. Bent up, so I'm talking real slurry. Got a blast, bro, I'm always in a hurry. Big Drake, shooting dirty like Curry. Take a yerky, ain't know he stay passed up. You don't catch him late night, do you ass up? No, real, how to put the E-class up. They like, X nigga, how you take the fast ride? 2018, it was me and Big